So for another sweep example, let's look at this container or this tray that has two handles on it. Now it's pretty easy to make this container box just using an extrude tool, a couple commands, some sketches. And with our sweep command, we can create this handle, and then with our mirror command, we can create a duplicate handle on the other side. So that's what we're going to do now. Let's add a new Part Studio. And from our default selection, let's go ahead and make the box. So we're going to sketch, pick what plane. Let's pick the top plane. I'll right click, view normal to sketch plane. And let's add a rectangle. So I'll do a center point rectangle. So this would be like the interior wall of our box. And I still have the tool selected. So let's go ahead and add another center point rectangle for the exterior edge of our box. I'm going to press the escape button, and let's put some dimensions in. So if I press D for dimension, and I want to dimension the exterior side of our box, the first dimension we're going to do is 500 millimeters, and all of a sudden it's off the screen and you may think something is broken. You can always press F for fit, and that will zoom out to fit everything. You can also zoom out with your wheel or zoom in to make everything look easier. Next, we're going to dimension the height. So I'll click once on the line, click to the right, and that'll be 400 millimeters. Now the wall thickness is going to be 5 millimeters. So we'll click once on this interior wall, once on the outside wall, and in between. Currently it's 85. We're going to make it much smaller. We'll press 5. Now when I did that, my interior rectangle kind of got all messed up, because now this interior wall is on the other side of the outside wall. That's okay, we can change this if you press the escape button. Now if you go up here to the point, click and hold and drag, you can kind of drag it around. And if we let go, then we can see that, something happened. Somehow Onshape thought that we wanted it to snap to something, and it made it red, which means Onshape added a constraint that we did not want. So we need to undo up here in the undo button, or you can press Control Z, and that will go back to where it was. Now I still need to get this wall inside of my other wall. So let me zoom into a corner, and let me do that same drag feature, but this time you notice when we're close enough, the Onshape doesn't try to be smart, it just lets you do what you want to do. Now, since we're still here in this corner, let's put a dimension, D for dimension. Now we have our dimension tool. We'll select outside edge, the inside edge, and we'll put this at 5 millimeters. Now we can zoom out or press F for fit, and we can see we have our box. So we're done with our sketch. We can press check, and let's go back into trimetric view. Next, I want to create just the walls. So I'm going to extrude button, and I'm going to zoom in to just the wall portion. So not the inside, and I'm not selecting the edge, I'm selecting right in between, and I'll click once. And notice the Onshape will immediately create this wall for us, and I want it to be 100 millimeters high. Okay, now let's get rid of our planes, because we don't need them, or the origin, so I'm going to hide that. And I can push P for plane, and that will hide them. So now let's put a bottom on our box. So I'll rotate underneath, and I'll press the sketch button. And it's going to ask me select a sketch plane. So I'm going to need to zoom in and select this face of our box. I can right click, view normal, and now I'll press F for fit, and all we need to do is create a box. This time a corner rectangle, and I'll select the top corner of our existing box and the bottom corner, and now we're all finished. We can press the green check, and let's put it back to trimetric. So now I want to extrude, and it's going to ask me what, and I can click this face. So notice that when I highlight on it, it doesn't actually highlight the outside edge, just the inside edge is highlighted. And I don't want that. I want my sketch that I just drew. And notice that if I hover over, then it kind of selects the wall area, and I don't want that. So what face or region? I'm going to actually just click on the sketch that I made over in the feature tree. That way, Onshape is not going to make a mistake, and I can tell it exactly what to do. So I'll press the sketch 2, and notice that the bottom has now come down. And if I zoom out and rotate it, you can see that I have a solid bottom. Instead of 25 millimeters, I'll put this to 5 and I'll press enter. And now we have a box with a 5 millimeter bottom. Let's go back into trimetric view. Now I want to put handles on my box. Now my handles are not going to be at the top and they're not going to be at the bottom, somewhere in the middle, and I need a plane to draw my path for my sweep. So let's go up here to the plane tool. We'll click on it. And immediately the option is offset, which is perfect. I'm going to zoom in on this top face and click once. Now it will create a plane that is offset from that face 25 millimeters. And if I rotate this, you can see they put the plane above it. Well, that's the wrong way. So I'm going to click this opposite direction button. Now it's going to come down. And I like 25 millimeters, so let's leave it like this. I'll press the green check. Now for my sweep command, I have to make a profile and a path. So first, let me create a path. I'm going to create a sketch, do a sketch on my plane that I already created. And I'll right click, view normal, and let's add a handle to this. I'm going to go ahead and view the origin again so I can use it for reference. And let's create a handle. Now the handle needs to start at one wall, come out, down, and back in. So I'm just going to start sketching kind of out in midair, and then we can make things snap together in a second. So when I'm all done, I'll press the escape button, and I want this point and this edge to be on top of each other. So I'll select the edge and the point, and then I come up here and say coincident. Same thing on this part, I'll select the point and the edge and make it coincident. So now my box is totally together. Now if I would click and drag one of these, I want to lock this in place. And I want exactly to be mirrored or exactly divided through the center. So if my handle path is up here, it's pretty easy to say that this is not centered. So one trick to make it centered is using a construction line. I'm going to press the line tool. Now I'm also going to come over here and make it a construction line. And if I start at the origin, click once and let go, and now I move it until it snaps to the midpoint of this line and click again. Now I have a construction line from the origin to the midpoint of that line. Let's go ahead and hit escape. Now I want this to be horizontal, so I'll select it, press horizontal, and now all of a sudden my handle is perfectly snapped in the middle. Let's go ahead and put some dimensions on this. I'll push D for dimension, and I want to dimension this. I'll set that at 75 millimeters. Next, I want to dimension the overall width, and I'll set that at 200 millimeters. And here's our path. Now, instead of a hard 90-degree angle at this point, let's put a curve there. So I'll press the escape button to get rid of my dimension tool. Let's go up here to our fillet command, and I can come down here. And because I want both of these curves to be the same, I'll click once on the point, and I can come down here and click again on a second point. And now when I'm done, let's go ahead and you can push the left mouse button to see that little tiny green check, and that means I'm done. Now we can set it equal to a value, and I'm going to go ahead and set it at 25 millimeters. I can push the escape button, and now you can see we have our path. We're done with our path. Push the green check. Let's go into trimetric view, and let's go ahead and hide the plane that I made earlier. So now I need to make a handle cross section for this sweep, and I want to make it circle, so let's make a sketch, and this has to intersect with my path. So what sketch plane? I'll select this wall, and now I'll keep it in isometric view while I draw a circle, and I want to intersect it exactly with a point that's already there. And even if I hover over that point, notice that Onshape isn't smart enough to pick it. That's all right. I'll just draw it kind of over here. Click once, click again, and now I have a circle. And it looks kind of funny, but that's because we're not looking at it directly, straight on. But if I rotate it, you can see we do have a circle there. So I want this circle, if I push D for dimension, I can give it a dimension of 25 millimeters. And I want the center point of this circle to be right on top of this point here in our path. So I'll click both points, and from the I'll choose coincident to make them on top of each other. And now we're done. So let's go ahead and press check. With our sweep tool, we can select what face to sweep the circle, what path. I could select each individual section on my sketch, but I'm going to go over here to the feature tree and I'm going to pick sketch 3. And now we have our path for our sweep. I can press the green check. Now finally, if I go back into trimetric view, I want to mirror this handle from one side to the other. So let's pick the mirror command. What kind of mirror? I want a feature mirror. Now what features do I want to mirror? From the feature tree, let's go ahead and pick our sweep 1. And then it asks what plane. Well, I don't have any planes visible right now, but I do know that my right plane is slicing my box in half, so I'm going to pick that. And all of a sudden my handle shows up on the other side.